Today we're taking to the skies to uncover the story of a true aviation legend, a titan of the Second World War that became a symbol of American air power. I'm talking about the Boeing B-17, affectionately known as the Flying Fortress. How did this incredible machine earn its name and its fearsome reputation? Stick around because we're about to find out. The story of the B-17 begins not in the heat of battle, but on the drawing boards of the 1930s. The U.S. Army Air Corps issued a challenge: build a multi-engine bomber capable of carrying a significant bomb load over long distances. Boeing's answer was the Model 299, a revolutionary design that bristled with machine guns. During its first public demonstration, a reporter, awestruck by its defensive firepower, dubbed it a flying fortress. The name stuck, and it would soon prove to be more than just a catchy nickname. What made the B-17 so special? First, its sheer toughness. This was an aircraft built to absorb incredible punishment and still bring its crew home. Stories from veterans are filled with accounts of B-17s returning to base riddled with holes, engines shot out, and sections of the tail missing. Its rugged, over-engineered airframe and redundant systems gave it a survivability that was nothing short of miraculous. This reputation for durability wasn't just a technical achievement. It was a massive morale booster for the young men flying deep into enemy territory. Then there was its firepower. The later models, like the famous B-17G, could be armed with up to 1350 caliber machine guns, covering nearly every angle of attack. You had the chin turret, top turret, ball turret underneath, waist gunners, and tail gunner. A formation of B-17s flying in a tight combat box could create a devastating field of interlocking fire, making a direct assault by enemy fighters a truly perilous affair. It was this defensive capability that allowed the Flying Fortress to conduct daylight precision bombing raids, a core tenet of American air strategy. The primary mission of the B-17 was strategic bombing. The goal was to cripple the enemy's ability to wage war by destroying factories, oil refineries, and transportation hubs. These weren't easy missions. They were long, grueling flights into the heart of hostile territory, facing relentless anti-aircraft fire or flak from the ground and swarms of enemy fighters in the air. The skies over Europe became a brutal battlefield, and the cost was incredibly high. The 8th Air Force, which flew the majority of B-17 missions from bases in England, suffered more combat casualties than the entire U.S. Marine Corps in the Pacific. To understand the B-17 is to understand the crew, the 10 men who operated it. Each had a specific, vital role. The pilot and co-pilot in the cockpit, the navigator and bombardier in the nose, the flight engineer and radio operator just behind them, the two waist gunners, the ball turret gunner, and the tail gunner. They were a team, a brotherhood forged in the freezing, unpressurized altitudes of 25,000 feet, where temperatures could plummet to 50 degrees below zero. They relied on each other not just for mission success, but for survival. Their courage, skill, and sacrifice are the true heart of the Flying Fortress story. Imagine being a waist gunner. You're standing at an open window, the wind screaming past at over 200 miles per hour, oxygen mask clamped to your face, scanning the sky for the glint of an incoming Messerschmitt or Focke-Wulf. Or picture the ball turret gunner, curled into a cramped sphere beneath the plane, a panoramic and terrifying view of the battle unfolding around him. The B-17 wasn't without its flaws. Early models had defensive blind spots, particularly from the front, which enemy pilots learned to exploit. It also carried a smaller bomb load than its contemporary, the British Avro Lancaster, which was primarily a night bomber. But the B-17E's strength was never just about the weight of bombs it could drop in a single run. Its value was in its ability to fly in formation, defend itself, and precisely deliver its payload onto a specific target in broad daylight, a feat that required immense coordination and guts. The impact of the B-17 on the war effort was profound. By systematically degrading Germany's industrial capacity, the daylight bombing campaign, in concert with the RAF's nighttime raids, choked the enemy war machine. It forced the Luftwaffe to pull its fighter squadrons back from the front lines to defend the homeland, which, in turn, helped clear the skies for the D-Day invasion in 1944. General Carl Spaatz, commander of U.S. strategic air forces in Europe, famously stated that without the B-17 we might have lost the war. Over 12,700 B-17s were built, but today fewer than a dozen remain in flying condition. When you see one of these magnificent aircraft thunder across the sky at an air show, you're not just seeing a piece of machinery, you're hearing the echo of a generation. You're witnessing a tribute to the designers who dreamed it, the workers who built it, and most importantly, the heroes who flew it. The flying fortress didn't just rule the skies through technical superiority. It ruled through the indomitable spirit of its crews. It was a symbol of resolve, a machine that embodied the promise to fly into the storm, endure the fight, and bring its boys back home. Its legacy is etched not just in the pages of history books, but in the very freedom that its missions helped to secure. It remains one of the most iconic and important aircraft ever built. Thank you so much for joining me on this flight into history. If you enjoyed this look at the legendary B-17, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more stories from the world of aviation and military history. Drop a comment below and let me know what iconic aircraft you'd like to see covered next. Until then, fly safe.